Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, possibly the most overambitious project channel on all of the internet. And today, answering to much public demand, I'm going to go and look at this car again, a car I have utterly ignored for far too long. You see, the thing is, when you've got a project which every time you do anything, it's one step forward, 27 steps back, because, let's put my mug down a second, this car has been fighting me all the way. If you may remember when it came onto the channel actually a couple of years ago, it was a non-runner. Getting the fuel injection just took for absolutely ever to make it work. Eventually, we did, so it's a really loud airplane going above me. Eventually we did rebuild all of that K-Jetronic fuel injection and make the car start. Whee! Damn, something has gone wrong on that hinge, that's no longer working. I have just bought a new bonnet because I sanded it back, this is actually twisted slightly. It was nudged on this corner, so it needs a new wing and a new bonnet. Well, we've got the bonnet. But yeah, I've done a whole bunch of welding in this corner, which I'm now going to re-sand again because it's starting to sort of surface rust through and put some better primer on it. Got some Bulldog branded stuff, which is amazing. I need to get inside the footwell, which I think is what I might do today. I need to button up some welding on the back side of that to complete that job and put the accelerator back in, because currently it doesn't have a throttle. I need to completely re-weld, well, basically this entire panel here is just rusty. I've got a complete quarter panel, so I think I'm gonna just slice it off down here somewhere and graft in a tiny side just there, and all up underneath there, there's basically no metal joining the inner wing, the outer wing, and of course this arch down here. I replaced this panel here and then started grinding back here and found it's missing there as well. Good times to be had by all. Oh, and then the brakes need completely overhauling. Did I mention I completely overhauled the fuel system on this thing as well? Well, I say completely. Mostly overhauled the fuel system on this thing. There's new fuel pipes in there, which admittedly are only rubber at the moment because I thought they'd get back to it later on. It's just too much other things. But I need to rebuild some of the fuel hard lines, replace all the calipers, the discs, the servo, tons of stuff basically. So yes, anyway. Right, before we get into this video though, that's been my initial preamble. I want to say two things. First of all, thank you to our headline sponsor, Diamond Bright, for continuing to support this channel. This car is still a long way from needing the efforts and attentions of the fine products from Diamond Bright. However, cars like the Crown Victoria, the Alfa 145, the Mini Cooper, and the beautiful Mercedes with its horrible gearbox all look absolutely fantastic thanks to Diamond Bright's amazing products. Check out the link in the description below, use code FD10 and you'll get 10% off any orders you place online. Awesome. Now, that's item number one, is thank you to Diamond Bright. Item number two is, don't forget, we're going to be at the NEC again in less than a month's time. It's the 11th today when I'm filming this. I believe it's the 10th to the 13th, but do check online. The NEC Classic show up in Birmingham is going to be absolutely enormous this year. I'm saying that because, well, I couldn't even book a hotel for myself, so my accommodation is going to be interesting this year. I'm going to be back on the stand with Ian Hubnut, not with Steph this time, she's on something else this time, but we're hopefully going to say hello to her during the show. But if you want to win tickets to the NEC, then we have got a competition running until the end of October. If you email to shop@furiousdriving.co.uk, say yes, what state in America was this Crown Victoria based in as a police car from 2002 until 2021, 19 years on the force in a little town called Beechwood? What state is Beechwood in? And it's not disrepair, it's apparently a really nice state, it looks beautiful. Email that over and you've got a chance to win a pair of tickets to the NEC. But also, if you don't want to take a chance on winning, just want a straight old discount, £2 off per ticket if you use the code Furious Driving. Follow the link in the description below and I'll see you at the NEC. We are stocking up on merchandise as we speak. I've got a new order of hats arriving tomorrow. I think I've got quite a lot of mugs, but might get some other mugs printed too. If you've got any ideas of which mugs I think I should get done, because I've got to place the order in the next 24 hours, then do suggest. Maybe I should do a Twitter poll on what people like the most, because I need to get my merchandise done. I've got more key rings coming. I don't know what else I've got coming actually. I need to get things sorted out. I'm running out of time. Anyway, right, that's the NEC, that's the advertising, that's the car. I even went to Lidl this morning looking for a hoist to go and hang from the roof of the barn to lift the roof tent off the Freelander. Unfortunately, I didn't have hoists like someone had seen. Did have really good work coats, but I think this is actually too nice to wear doing work on this car, so I'm going to go take it off again. Right, so let's go and do some work on this thing. Or I might just go and get some cake and drink coffee, because I just can't get motivated on this car for some reason. First, I want to get rid of some more of, or move this back some more, because it is an absolute pain in the back side being in the way. I'm not sure whether to replace it with like for like, or just bin it completely because it has kind of trapped moisture behind it. I need to do a bit of grinding on the back of those welds. On the outside of the car, I've ground the welds and they actually look really quite tidy and they look to be quite strong. Or it looks really quite good, but there are parts of it where I needed to do like a second bit of welding on the inside to completely button things down, and it involves removing this and then all the bitumen stuff behind it. I'm kind of tempted to just completely slice through it and be done. I'm assuming this is sound deadening rather than anything else, but it is also extremely heavy. Similar stuff under the carpet in the Volvo as well, which is also causing rust in that car. God, it's hard to cut through. Better for the grinder, never mind a Stanley knife. Right, so I've managed to actually just tear this stuff out. I will save it and probably place it back in again, because it is good sound deadening. It's kind of original and adds a bit of strength to the floor. But now I've got this horrible bitumen stuff to get out as well. This is where you need gloves again to make sure there's no other holes underneath it. And it's kind of why I gave up working on this car, because it's such a miserable effort of layers of glued stuff that just doesn't want to move. Definitely time for more coffee. Thing is, when you start losing heart with a project, anything else looks more appealing, even fixing an automatic gearbox. And the worst part of fixing an automatic gearbox is that once it's done, you've got a working automatic gearbox. So this has taken very much a back seat, because every time I do something on this car, it seems to get worse. So doing some work today, which hopefully will be an easy win, is what it takes to get the mojo back and start getting the band back together and doing some work on this car again and getting it finished. When I first did this a while ago, I smothered everything in undercoat so it wouldn't rust up on. Now I'm going to take it off again so I can carry on welding. Well, I haven't actually used this welder at all yet. It's the first time I've really tried it. A quick test run on this bit of scrap just to see what it's like. And blimey, that is so much quicker and easier. And using this stealth fader mask I picked up at the Resto show back at the beginning of the year, suddenly I can see what I'm doing as well. Wowee! I kind of strictly don't need to do this, but it's just nice to double end it. Wow, that is so much better. It almost makes me look like I know what I'm doing. Okay, it's not really professional standard, but straight out of the gun, it's much neater than I've been doing before. I'm so impressed at myself. I'm an expert at something. Give those bits of weld, don't look too closely. I'll give it a quick grind in a second. The problem is though, I have lost this little pivot thing that screws up to the firewall so I can put the accelerator back on, because I do kind of need the accelerator for moving the car around. Excellent, I knew it wouldn't be far away. Underneath stuff. Just need to give those a bit of a grind up, then I can go and give them a rust-proofing treatment. Now here outside, the same area of the car that I've just been working on the inside, I did spray loads of weld-through primer, but obviously it's not completely rust-proof, so I'm going to have to quickly grind it back, get it back to metal. Right, I've just found a bit more of, or lots more of this sound deadening stone chip stuff, which comes off as a horrible powder with the wire wheel, but I do need to go and get another wire wheel. That's nearly out actually. So I've found a use for all the leftover masks we have from the last couple of years. So actually get some work out of that one. I'll find some goggles quickly and then I will carry on. Yeah, you could probably tell me where my goggles were. I didn't know they were on my head. They were on my head the whole time. are looking really, really tidy indeed. I'll ground off some of the less tidy ones, but those ones I might leave as like a mark of pride that they actually look half decent. Right, this stuff, Rust Neutralizing Primer by MDS, is the same people who do Bulldog, so it's an amazing stuff made over in Belfast, and it is astonishing. It will take care of all your rust preventative needs. You just paint it straight onto this can has been, there we go, not shaking properly. Not too worried about getting overspray on the car because I think it's going to need a full respray anyway. Oh, come on. I don't think I cleaned the nozzle on this one last time. Not properly anyway. This is a really thick stuff that's been developed for like heavy industry. You know, oil rigs, the Scottish Highlanders, that kind of stuff. Right, so I have managed to clog this nozzle, but I think by not cleaning it properly last time I used it. So I'm going in a little bit guerrilla. I 100% do not recommend doing this. If you do it on your own back, do it. I take no responsibility for you hurting yourself because this is stupid, but it works. Circlip pliers to get a 90-degree bend. It's coating slightly heavily, but it's coating it nonetheless. Again, as I'm saying, I'm not too worried about overspray because this car is going to get painted, and let's face it, it needs all the rust protection it can get. Yeah, that's a slightly heavy coating compared to what I was planning. They do say with this stuff it's better off going on a lightly rough surface rather than a pristine surface because it bonds better to that. Wow, that really has coated it well. Yeah, that's coated. Let's do the inside as well now. That looks brilliant. I actually quite like it in this red colour. Seems a shame to cover it over. Nice even coverage though, and it dries really quickly. Right, going in now with Hammerite, not because it's the greatest product available. It is rust proof after a fashion. But mostly I'm using it because it was there. The shop had some in stock, and it will give a nice black finish to the underbody areas. And it will be weatherproof. I think this red stuff is actually pretty much weatherproof anyway. But it's just another layer of weather protection. Right, so the area I've welded and repaired is now a lovely rust-proofed gloss black, which at some point in the not too distant future, when I've got time on my hands, I will get the wire brush and do the entire inner wing area, which I'm 47% confident is rust-free, apart from surface stuff, just so I want to take care of all of that to keep it good for the future. But this area I've done is now effectively done, and once the whole area is done, I can wax oil, you know, and load it in wax, but it looks nice and shiny and black. And on the inside, I've got nice and shiny and black. I'll let it dry, then I can fit the accelerator pedal back down again, which means the car is actually drivable. Drivable, not stuffable. Two different things, but we won't worry about that. So refitting the accelerator pedal, what I had are these two little plastic feet that are screwed through small holes, which I had to make sure I didn't weld over when I put this together. They pivot on there, and then there's the actual rod which does the pulling the accelerator up here. And finally I've got a little wire, two-prong connector here, which sits on the back down here, which is the kick-down switch for the gearbox. What I need to do though is actually go and find a couple of small bolts, because the original screws, I think, came out with a grinder in the end. So yeah, that's going to need a tiny bit more adaptation, but literally just two, I think, M6 or M6 bolts through the bulkhead, and we are done there. We've got a working pedal again. Awesome. So there we have minor progress of a sort on the W123. It is a little bit more done. At least that corner now I can pull the cover off and it looks like a completely completed thing. We've got a pedal that works in the car, so I can run it up and down the drive. Well, I can run it up the drive. I can't stop it running up the drive unless I put a brick in front of the wheel again. But at least we're a little bit closer. The question is now, what do I do next? Do I go on for the massive weldathon on that rear quarter, which I'm desperately not looking forward to, or do I go and rebuild the brakes on the thing, so at least when I'm running up and down the drive, I'm not going to run it through the fence or up into someone else's car, which might be a wise thing to do. If I do the brakes first, I've got the option of taking it to someone else's garage where they can do the welding for me, because the thing is kind of properly mobile, it'll run and drive. Alternatively, I could do the welding here, and then I could get shipped over to the barn, and I could put the brakes together in comfort in the barn. So it's, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter which one I do first, there's an advantage to doing it that way around. Anyway, the car is slightly better now, which is good. It's always better to have done something and got something done, because then you've got a little bit of a sense of achievement, a little bit more interest in the project, feel a bit more positive about the whole thing. So yeah, I do feel more like doing more stuff to it now, having just a tiny bit and achieved a tiny thing. And I do really want to be driving the W123 because I've had the thing for a really long time. I've still never driven one other than in a car park, which is not a real fair test. And that was a 200 diesel estate manual, I think, which is totally different to this car in pretty much every way. So I really haven't experienced what this car is going to be like. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please, as always, hit like and subscribe and join me again next time. I might actually do some more work on this car. Who knows?